Okay, so this is probably the most unprepared I think I've ever been. 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes before I attempt to go live, I get beckoned to be the fixer of guess what of all things, a damn VHS VCR. Anyway, so yeah, and I had a few other things I had to get done today, but yeah, everything last minute, last minute. Okay, so and I'll update the description of this stuff later. But and so far it doesn't even register that anybody's even listening um, yet. But anyway, okay. So what I read today, this is all just a little bit of, and I realize I'm competing with the vice presidential debate. Yay! I have excellent timing, don't I? But today I was reading an article. Actually, I came across this last night. Um, and this was actually, this article was by Deborah Highland of the Lexington Herald Leader. Here is where it was. I'm sorry, the Bowling Green Daily News, and it was shared by Lexington Herald Leader. And in this article, it talks about pretty much something that happens all the time. You hear about it, and what's funny is afterwards people are always going, "Oh, if I'd only known." But the degree of ignorance in which we choose to possess um, sometimes defines our actions, and as a result of major inaction. At any rate, in this article, it talks about It starts. She died alone at home and wasn't found for months. It happens more often than you might think. And then she has this collection of stories of incidences, and they read as this: Gwendolyn Johnson lay dead in her bed for at least 5 months, but no one noticed. None of her neighbors on Penn's Chapel Road noticed her two vehicles sat unmoved for months. No one noticed when Warren Rural Electric Co-op placed a bright orange sign on her door indicating that her electricity had been shut off. None of her neighbors, um, no, one of her neighbors, I'm sorry, estimated that it had been at least 2 weeks since Johnson was seen. But when they went into the house to do a welfare check, they found she had passed away about 5 months prior. And what bothers me here is the level of ignorance, the level of self centeredness that these communities seem to have, in which we ignore the elderly. I mean, granted, times have changed. The general view of other humanity has changed in such a negative way that we quite literally do not care about our neighbors. In fact, we spend more time hating our neighbors. But I mean, if you're listening, and most of the people I know, almost everyone, gives a crap about their parents. But here's this poor woman who died 5 months. She lay inside of her house and no one noticed. I mean, there's another one that talks about. Oh yeah, it says deputies notified her one of her brothers, and he stated that the two had not spoken in 10 years. Now I can't fault anybody for that. I have family members that, or I'm sorry, I have people who claim to be my family that I haven't spoken to since, oh, it's been over 20, 30 years, some of them. And the only time I ever do speak to them, it's because I accidentally run into them. And one of them will hear this. But am I worried? F no. But anyway, a neighbor a neighbor, and this is on actually just the 18th of September. A neighbor of Jack Bates, 81, and this is all in that eastern Kentucky area there. I mean, this is all around Bowling Green. I'm sorry. Um, and his wife, a neighbor of Jack Bates, 81, and his wife Paula, 63, called Bowling Green police to check on the couple. The neighbor said he hadn't seen them in more than a week. Now, here's a guy that cared apparently. He said that for 4 days, the door to one of the vehicles, one of the couple's vehicles, had been open, and Paula Bates' walker had been on the ground. Okay, for it takes 4 damn days of looking across at your neighbor and knowing obviously that they're elderly, and you see a vehicle door open and a walker, someone's walker, laying on the ground, and it takes 4 days. So whoever this idiot is, this this complete jackass, because I'm sorry, I pay attention. I don't even know my neighbors, but I'll tell you what, and that's just simply my fault, you know. And that actually leads me into what one of my major topics here is. Um, but I am very, I observe, and it is a ritual, or as many females have told me in the past, an obsession, whatever. I'm kidding, but no, I'm not. But anyway, I observe the standard everyday style of existence of these places and the people and the property. But obviously, no one takes it to the level that I do, because I can tell you by looking at the clock when I'm going to hear a particular vehicle come off of the street across the road there, because I know this vehicle, the sound of this vehicle very, very distinctly, and the mist that it has in the engine. And I've been wondering for over, a year why this guy has not fixed that vehicle. Whatever it is. But when I hear, certain things, I mean, I can pretty much look at the clock and be, within 5 minutes time there on what's going on. My point is, I pay attention, and most people don't. But if you look across the road at your elderly neighbor's house, and you see a walker laying on the ground and a vehicle door open for 4 days, what the hell, makes you take 4 days to call the cops on this? So anyway, call the cops. Cops come. They look through a window and saw a large dog tied up in the house. They also saw Jack Bates face down in his kitchen. So officers called the fire department to force open a door. Um, and to quote, they said, the manner in which he was laying made it appear as though he had fallen and died where he fell, said Bowling Green police officer Alex Wright. Police think that Jack Bates' wife, he was his wife's primary caretaker. And Paula Bates was found dead in a back bedroom where she is thought to have died about 2 days after her husband. Now, I do not always, I don't enjoy, you know, creating images, especially negative images in anyone's mind. But here's the thing. Now, I want you to take this scenario and I want you to apply it to your own life. Let's imagine it's you or your mother and father. Now, can you imagine what this woman must have gone through for 2 days after he falls and dies? And she's alive for 2 days. Now, he's her primary care provider. She does not have access, obviously, to either the phone, the internet. Obviously, no one came to check. So she lays there for 2 days, and maybe she heard him fall. Maybe he yelled as he fell, and she can't get out of bed to go help her husband. Now, just picture it. Picture laying in the bed. Put yourself in this scenario. You can't walk, and you know your husband or wife is coming in the kitchen. you know, and you hear a thud, someone falls, and you yell and you yell and you yell to nothing. So he dies. What happens when a human body dies? After a bit, the bowels void themselves. So by now, with this floating around the house, there is no doubt in this woman's mind about what has happened, and she can't do a damn thing. This has to be an absolute hell. It has to be an absolute hell to be unable to do anything about it. So this poor woman lays there. Obviously, she didn't get food. Her primary care provider is dead in the kitchen. She couldn't go to the bathroom. So what? Imagine the moments the last moments of her life, because two elderly people live by themselves, and it took an idiot 4 days to call the cops after seeing something that is blatantly suspicious. I see. I can see a complete stranger stumble and fall. My ass is going to go over there and help them. I've done it 1,000 times. You would, because if you're the kind of person who's listening to me, you're the kind of person that wants to be, a change in the world. You got to remember that you have the power within you to make all of these changes, so that people do not live their last few breaths of life like this. So what if your neighbor doesn't like you? They are still human beings and they're alive. But like I said, I haven't taken time to get to know the people around here yet either. But what you need to do is, because this could happen to you. I'm 44, and I'm in. I mean, I'm disabled. I have some issues. Some major. And in 30 seconds, it could be, and at any given moment. I mean, I've died 7 times technically, bleeding out, very bad, annoying pancreas. It goes way beyond the standard pancreatitis, way beyond. Still a modern medical mystery. Yay, that helps me a lot. That helps me a hell of a lot. But yes, so just take that scenario of that man and woman and put yourself in it, or your spouse. Now, here's what you got to do. This is what people need to do. We have to become dependent on our own network. We have to become dependent on one another as a community. I don't care if it's two neighbors, three, 10, doesn't matter. But what we have to do is we need to let others know, in a way, our situations, you know. But maybe even, hell, how difficult is it if you don't know your neighbor? Bake a damn bread, a pie or something, and you take over and introduce yourself. You get to know these people. These people get to know you. Don't worry about the peddly stuff, because that peddly stuff in this situation, what if this elderly couple was hated by everybody in the neighborhood for whatever reason and they didn't care? Why create the situation in which no one cares? Why make it so that no one cares about you? I mean, you and my phone's on me all the time. I can hit 911. But but the other day I was going down steps. I have 13, I know, get it, 13 steps from upstairs here to down to the bottom. And I tripped on